Hi everyone, it's me Lauren, welcome back to my channel, and if you are new here then welcome. So first of all, I am sitting somewhere different. Yeah, I'm sitting at my desk, under my bed, which is what this thing here is, because my laptop is here with my notes and I just thought it'd be easier to look over there instead of craning down. Secondly, my chair is very, very squeaky. I need to get some oil for that because this is just... What can you do? Anyway, this video is going to be something a little bit different. If you know me, you know that I love anything to do with Halloween, anything spooky. I love pumpkin carving, I love trick-or-treating, I love watching horror movies and reading horror books. So today I'm going to pick my top 10 favourite old-time radio episodes. I first became interested in radio horror several years ago when I listened to the 1938 War of the Worlds radio broadcast. I'd heard about it for years before that due to pop culture, and I'd always been intrigued by it. Did Americans really run out of their houses and try to evacuate because they believed it was real? But when I decided to listen to it, I really liked it and I wanted to listen to more. So I've only been properly listening for about 2 years, so I'm still quite new to it. I mainly listen to Suspense, Lights Out, Escape and Quiet Please, and most recently I've discovered Nightfall and Beyond Midnight. For me, there's nothing better than turning the lights down, putting on my headphones and getting lost in a good scary story, especially if it's raining outside, which, as I live in England, it often is. These are going to be in no particular order, and I will leave links in the description box below in case you decide to check any of them out. Okay, so let's get to it. So the first one on my list is 0 Hour by the show Suspense. From the show Suspense. You know what I mean. Children all over America and possibly the world are playing a game called Invasion. And as the day goes on, one mother begins to suspect that it might not be a game after all. What I can say about this episode is, listen to your children! It's got to be one of my favourite episodes because right from the beginning it draws you in and it keeps you hooked all the way through. So the second one I have is On a Country Road, also from Suspense. A couple are driving home during a storm when they learn that a murderer has escaped from the nearby asylum. Their car runs out of petrol on a lonely road, close to where this murderer has killed 2 people. This episode stars Cary Grant, and the music and the sound effects make it one of my absolute favourites. Number 3 is The Screaming Woman from the Bradbury 13 show. A young girl is playing outside when she hears a woman screaming from somewhere below ground, but every adult she tells doesn't believe her. Once again, listen to your children, people. The Bradbury 13 was a collection of, you guessed it, 13 short stories by Ray Bradbury that were adapted for radio, and they're all actually really good. Number 4 is Deep, Deep Is My Love from Suspense. In this episode, a man just wants to skin dive without his wife so he can get some peace and quiet. Is there really a golden woman under the sea calling to him, or is it just a side effect of narcosis? I find this one to be quite claustrophobic considering it takes place in the ocean, but I have a really big fear of deep water. Thank you, Jaws. And the sound of the oxygen mask really actually frightens me. It's just a really good episode. The next one on my list is The Thing on the Floorboard from Quiet Please. This is considered to be the scariest old-time radio episode ever, and rightly so in my opinion. Quiet Please never really used sound effects, At least the episodes I listened to, they haven't used them, but they more than make up for it with these long stretches of silence that just amplify the fear. In this episode, an oil worker tells the story of how he discovers a creature on the derrick of an oil rig. If you're going to listen to any episode on the list, I'd recommend this one. Number 6 is It Happened from the show Lights Out. Lights Out was one of the very first radio shows, and many episodes were considered to be very, very gruesome, in part due to the sound effects, some of which can still send a shiver up your spine today. In this episode, a spoiled young girl is having a tour of Paris. She runs away from her tour guide, wanting to see the real city, and she soon wishes that she would have stayed with the group. And that's all I'm going to say about that one. Number 7 is The Porch Light from the series Nightfall. Nightfall is possibly one of the scariest radio shows I've ever heard, and one of the most underrated. Not enough people have heard of it, and it's such an eerie show. In this episode, a couple are in this little house when they see a man standing outside under the porch light in the middle of a blizzard. I don't want to give too much away, so I'm going to leave it at that. Number 8 is Return Trip from Suspense. I love the fact that even though these episodes have been out for decades, they can still keep me guessing. In this episode, a bus is leaving the local insane asylum, and a storm breaks out, of course, and the bus breaks down. The passengers on the bus learn that a homicidal maniac has escaped from the asylum and is now on the bus. But which one of them is it? Again, it kept me guessing to the very end. Number 9 is Three Skeleton Key from Escape. This episode stars the one and only Vincent Price, which automatically makes it a winner in my book. You can't really go wrong with Vincent Price. He narrates the story of him and 2 other men who are working in a lonely lighthouse. One day, a ship crashes onto the island, and thousands of hungry rats swarm the land. The sound effects in this episode will have you tucking your feet underneath you to keep you safe. Number 10 is Late Special from Nightfall. In this episode, a couple are driving down the road when their car crashes, leaving the man unable to move and the woman unable to see. Despite this, she manages to find her way to the railway station, where the conductor offers her a strange deal. Once again, I don't want to give too much away, so I'm going to leave it at that. Honourable mention goes to the 1938 War of the Worlds radio broadcast, because without that I don't think I would have gotten into old radio horror. So it will always be close to my heart. I actually have it on CD. And honourable mention number 2 goes to an episode of Suspense called The House in Cypress Canyon, which is technically the first radio horror episode I heard after War of the Worlds. So it does mean a lot to me. It's what got me hooked in. So that was my list of my top 10 OTR episodes. I hope you enjoyed watching, and I hope to see you soon. Bye!